It's okay. You do well.
Alright, so I'm going to start out with the topicality, move to the contentions, and address most of the issues, and then bring up a disadvantage. My partner will be addressing some of the issues as well. So starting off with the first topicality issue that my partner brought up, which was that of it should have happened a long time ago. In response to this, our opponents say that first they agree with this, and that basically there's no impact or link. Basically, the link behind this argument is that we should not just focus on what is happening right now. We should say that this should have happened a long time ago. We shouldn't be just looking at it right now and saying, it's good that it's happening right now. It should have happened a while ago. That's what the real issue is. Therefore, this idea of it happening right now should not be right here, because the idea is that we have defined it, that it should have happened a long time ago. And the impact behind that my partner provided was that of long-term benefit. In response to this, the government team said that long-term difference is definitely an issue. Basically, they were pointing out the benefits of happening right now. However, we cannot make such a close decision on what is happening right now. If you look at past administrations, for instance, the example that we gave of Hitler, you can see that over the long term, it seemed like it was a good idea when Hitler became a president to the people, or not president, but you know what I mean. When he came into power, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but in the long-term effect, it was not a good idea. We can't.
Information. Do you believe people should be able to choose their leaders?
I believe yes. Alright, so when we look at this idea of Egypt, we're not actually seeing a long-term benefit. We're just looking at it right now through the lens that we have. It's only been in the past couple months that this has happened, actually past couple weeks. We cannot say that this has been a beneficial thing on overall, because we have not seen the long-term effect. This is not an actual valid argument. We can't just say that because it is happening right now and it should, that it is in fact, a long-term benefit. Now, if we look at the second topicality issue, which is that of real political unrest equals violence, and that is what the negative has defined it, and the opposition has defined it, and the government has accepted it. And they responded to this by saying that it's not specific to any, that they're not talking, their plan is not specifically talking about any, or a specific government, but rather overall in the Middle East. We have to look at this and say that it is definitely important to look at individual governments, because these affect the individual people. We can't just look at it as an overall thing that people are getting democracy. Some democracies are not beneficial to the people. If we look at the French Revolution, there were definitely people that were, they elected for a democracy in that issue, and there were people that were harmed in that issue, so life was lost. We have to actually look at it in not in the overall in the Middle East and what is happening right now, but we have to look at the specific governments and see what is happening to the people and to the government as well. We can see
information. Would you agree that there was violence in both Egypt and Libya?
I agree. So we can see that the idea of political unrest really isn't an issue in some of the ideas that they have talked about. So let's move down to their contention, or sorry, our contention one, which they responded to by basically looking at the Hitler example and the Honduras example. They were saying that it doesn't apply because of because when we look at the Middle East, that it doesn't apply. But you have to look at these ideas. These were bloodless regimes that came up, and they were definitely the answer. When we look at Honduras, this was a great example of where the people took their voice through non-violence and took over the government, and they were able to send the president out of the country because he was so oppressive to the people. This was a good example of where non-violence is the answer, and we can see that that is an issue. But when we look at this idea of Hitler, he was a leader who came to power and led the people on a bloody regime of taking over the world in his mind. We can see that that was not the answer. Violence is not the answer. We have to look to non-violence because it is the answer. Now, in response to their justification one, my partner said that political unrest does not always lead to democracy. In response to this, the government had three responses. First of all, that there's no democracy in the Middle East right now. The people want it, and the people deserve it. In response to those, I'd like to say that it doesn't matter. When we look at this, the political unrest that's happening right now is not necessarily going to lead to democracy. We have to really see in the next couple of years what is going to happen, because there's a lot of things that are happening right now. It's very tense in that region. We can't just look on the basis of 2 weeks or 3 weeks on what is actually happening. We can't look at the long term and the short term right now. We have to see that it's definitely important to look at how political unrest does not always lead to democracy, and it does not always lead to the people's rights being heard. Now let's move on to the next argument, which is their justification too. Now, in response to this, my partner was saying that threat does not equal violence. It's not really a real political, real political unrest. And in response to this, they really didn't say anything. They were just saying that the issue of Saudi Arabia was definitely political unrest. We can see this is not actually a real political unrest, because when we look at Saudi Arabia, the government team even admitted that this was just a threat from the Saudi government. It wasn't real political unrest. The people were not going out and actually having violence towards the government.
And information on a whole in the Middle East, are they having real political unrest if you combine everything?
I would say no, because Egypt is the only country that you actually mentioned that is in the Middle East. Libya and others. Alright, so we can see that there definitely is not the threat does not equal violence, and therefore there is not real political unrest happening in Saudi Arabia. Now, in response to contention too, there wasn't really a response to this. We were talking about how it is not the time right now. We need to actually wait till the future to do this. And I'd like to point out that there actually is no plan to actually implement in the status quo. We have to see that now is not the time. This is the opposition's position that we should wait. That is the plan behind the opposition. Wait so that we can save lives. The economy is really bad right now, and we need to keep that in mind. Also, really quick, I'd like to bring up a disadvantage. That basically hinging on the idea of long term. We have to see that we're going to be supporting a temporary benefit. That if the government has presented an idea that will be political unrest is definitely a benefit, but we have to see that this is only a temporary one. We have to look at the permanency of something. If we want something to really be permanent and to be beneficial, we have to see that we need to wait to do something. It should have been done a long time ago, but we're just supporting a temporary benefit. And for all these reasons, thank you.
Ooh.
I'm next.